the unspoken undercurrent of assumptions and submissions, the unspoken undercurrent of fear, of lack, of scarcity, of proof that I am not worthy of your love, the unspoken voices that think they know, that tell me they know what this silence means, what that stillness signifies, what those words cover up. What to do with a warning system that comes from a war-torn country, that is seeking landmines and interpreting everything for the potential of destruction. What to do with my warning system. So essential in the times when living with an angry lion in the house as a little cub. So essential for survival with a choleric father, with a love for the bottle, and a mother shut down in grief. So essential for the sister looking out for her brother who could die just like that, as she was told. So essential for the granddaughter who stayed for weeks on end with a granddad who has never been the same since he came home from the prisoner of war camp in 1949, so late, and only one of the 5% who survived. So essential for the young woman in a culture of objectification, of attack and grab and hurt, and so utterly useless in love. My system is not calibrated for peace. It sees ghosts and bombs where there are space and flowers. It sees loneliness and hurt where there is truth and trust. It sees death and destruction when there is tenderness and acceptance. How will you manage? What else do you need to do, you ask? After 17 years of loving tenderly, of holding gently, of talking and listening, of showing up. What else can you do? You ask with something in your voice. I'm not sure what. My system tells me tiredness of me, my mess, my damage, of this exhausting burden that is my life. But I cannot trust the system because it wasn't made for peace. How much of this is mine? How much of this is older, part of the long line of pain inflicted to the little man, the quiet man, the caring man and woman by these wars? I used to think it's in my bones. I used to think they are made from the ashes of my family, from the ones I did not know, who went up the chimneys in black smoke, and from the ones who ended up face down in the mud. I used to think they were made from the tears of grieving mothers, from the mothers dying of the fevers, from the mothers losing man, home, children, family, country. From the survivors, clothing themselves in nothing but shame. Shame to be German. Shame to have been in Germany. Shame to have stood by. Shame to have gone along. Shame to have done all that. Shame to have survived. Shame to have not got over it. Shame to not be able to let it go. But now I know it's in my genes. Their pain is deeply buried here. It's changed my senses, changed my heart. It's changed my very cells. How do I live with these deep wounds on top of all that life has gifted to me? How do I set the system right to trust and peace and love? How do I stop the scan for mines, the fear of war-torn limbs? I am familiar in the pain. It is my house of blackest mud, of grief and shame and fear. You and I built our house on solid ground of rock and chalk and flint. How can I hold that in my bones, my body, mind and soul? The softness of the chalk, the purity of its ancient past, the hardened sharpness of the flint, unyielding and unshapely, the rock that holds the core all right and gives structure to the whole. And yet our garden is full of dirt, covering rubble and rubbish. Am I like this then? Would I break the plough with blocks of concrete and a broken chair? But will I hold a space for wildflowers and birds and bees and sunshine on your back?